Hey y'all, happy Friday, happy Friday. We'll be talking about some career habits that I want you guys to leave behind in 2023 before we start this next year. Okay. And I believe a few of them is going to surprise you a little bit because how many of us is starting to think about now? I'm not one, y'all. I don't put a lot on dates. I don't, right? But I do believe that like as we have an opportunity to like reset and reflect, I do think that it is a time for us to start thinking about like what are those habits, those mindset shifts, those things that don't really serve us, that we want to leave behind starting next year. And y'all, I don't know about y'all, but next year is in like 2 days. Okay. So the first habit that I want you guys to leave back in 2023 is stop feeling like rest is a treat. I don't want you to think that rest is a treat because I know there's a lot of people that they are starting to end this year off, right? They are on this last leg of this year, tired and exhausted, right? And burnt out. Now, if you want to share it, you can, but if you don't, that's fine too. So I want us, and I say us, I want us to like go into next year not seeing rest as a reward, but for us to start seeing rest as something that we need, right? And start seeing rest as something that is strategic. Pretty sure you never heard that before, but I want you to start seeing your rest as something that is strategic. And by that, I mean allowing yourself to understand and know that you need rest, right? You need to give yourself the opportunity to restore and recharge and revive and not feel guilty about it. And understand that, it's not for the sake of rest, but you understand, right? That when you feel good, you work good, right? And so as we move into this next year, I don't want you guys to be feeling like when it comes to rest that it is some kind of treat, but I really want you to start understanding that it's something that you need, right? And like I said before, it is strategy. It is strategic to get the rest that you need, right? It allows you to think. It allows you to flow. It allows you to really tap into ideas and to thrive, right? It allows you to feel like you're not always having to run off of E. So the next one is I want you guys to like start to think about um alignment over achievements. Okay, I want you to start to put your alignment over achievements, meaning that this new year it is more about you being in alignment with what you want than it is about how much you can achieve. I'm gonna say it again. This next year needs to be about you operating in alignment more than it is about what you can achieve, right? Because you guys know I am a heavy believer in you being able to be in alignment with what you want because that is the real win. That is the real success. And I know that sometimes we can get into this mindset of just win, 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 right? But start to think about your wins and start to think about how in alignment or how aligned are you with those wins, right? And so, start to like reshift your mindset for next year and think about, I don't just want to work good. I want to feel good about the work that I do. But that takes you having to put the focus more on you being in alignment rather than what you can achieve. And you'll be surprised. The more that you seek alignment, the more achievement you will see, because when you are operating in alignment, it's almost like rest. Like it allows you to tap into those things that you didn't even know was there. It allows you to really unlock something that was already there because now you are more focused, you are more zoned in, you are more in tune with yourself, and it allows you to be able to see successes that you didn't think that you could. And so I want you guys to really think about being able to operate in alignment rather than achievements. Okay. But I don't want you to think that when you operate out of alignment, then that means that like sucks all of the drive from you. It doesn't. But what alignment does, it allows you to make sure that that drive that you have is going towards the right thing, right? It allows you to know that once you reach that level of success, that you did not have to kind of sway on anything. It allows you to know that once you reach that goal or that success, that you did not have to shed back or hold back on any of the values that you have. And so again, you'll be surprised being able to operate out of alignment will bring you and draw you towards what you want, which kind of leads me into my next thing, right? I want you, it was so funny. My husband, this was early this morning. I was sharing this with him, but I want you to move out of that mindset of scarcity, because that brings a level of just rush, right? Because you feel like what you want won't always be there, or you feel like there won't be enough opportunities for you, right? Or you almost feel like you have to get right now because you really don't know what's in store for you, right? And so I want you to move out of that mindset and start to think about, right? Move out of that mindset of lack and start to focus in on and to believe that there are enough opportunities for you, and get out of this panic mode, right? Or this mode of having to feel rushed all the time, or this mode of feeling like I have to keep storing up and storing up and storing up, right? And it's different when you want to move towards something, right? In a speed. It's another thing if you feel like, if I don't keep this speed at all times, and that means that I won't have the things that I want, because I do believe that there is a season, right? Where you may have more haste than what you would, right? Where you may be more goal focused in this season. So it may cause you to move faster than you would, but you understand that that is just a season at this time. But it's another thing when your way of life is panic, is rush, is fear of, I don't know if there's enough for me. And you'll be surprised. I would say this, right? The more that you have and the more success that you've seen, right, the harder you may fight with this. I think I talked about last week when I said, like, it's so important to validate the successes that you have, because if you don't, you'll feel like they have just come by luck, right? And you don't realize that you put the work in for those wins. But if you don't own it, it'll always feel like it's just luck. And when you start thinking like the great things that you have in your life happens by luck, right? Now you find yourself on that wheel, right? Because it's a fear of, I don't know how long this will last for, rather than you being able to see that you got the game plan, right? You know how to get the wins, right? You know how to get those results. And not only do you know how to do it, friend, you've done it over and over and over and over again. And so when you can rest in that and know, right, and own it, now it gets you out of this mode of having to just run and race to every goal. But now it allows you to reach your goals in a mode to where you understand, I didn't get here by luck. Right? I got here because I had the play, and I've ran this play over and over again. And so I want you to get away from thinking that what you want is going to expire, and start to really believe and understand, right? That you can make a move anytime that you want to, right? Again, you know how to win. So own it, right? So I don't want you going into next year in this panic mode. Friend, chill, friend, relax, breathe, right? But again, you should know the season that you are in. Absolutely, right? Because again, there are seasons of haste that could be there. I know sometimes when I've had to pray about certain things and certain times, I had to pray to God, and He's like, all right, go. Right? But it was Him who put that in my spirit to haste. It wasn't me. right? And I did not allow that to be a way of life for me. And I've learned not to operate out of fear, right? And understand that, it's not just about getting the goal, right? But it's about what happens as you move towards the goal. It's about what starts to change within you as you move towards what you want, right? It's about what is it? Just character being built in you, right? And so, because once you get that thing is your next role, or that thing is more pay, or that thing is more skills, whatever that is, right? Once you get it, you have to have the character in order to sustain it. And it feels good to know that once you reach the goal, right? Or it's like once you got the win, that you did not have to compromise in order to get it, right? You was able to have the pay and the peace, right? And so allow yourself to understand that. Calm down. And I know this is the exact opposite of what society has on us. This weight of, oh my, win in the next 5 minutes, win. And then you like, child, can I catch my breath? I haven't even had time to own my last win because I'm already on to the next win. So take some time and think about your wins that you've had this year. Like those hard times that, child, you didn't even think that you was going to come out of. Like them times when you was like, you know what, this is enough. Even after you have told yourself this is enough, but what happened? You bounce back like you do every time. So it's like, as we look towards these new wins that we want, and look, I'm talking to myself, as we look forward to these new wins, think about the old wins, right? Because that's what you should be doing. You should be building off of what you've already done. So that's going to stop you from feeling like you always have to start from scratch, right? Because you understand, I've been here before. I've brought forth results and successes, right? I know the expertise that I operate in. So no more scarcity, all right? The next thing I want all of us to leave behind is feeling like you have to do everything alone. Now, you guys know on my live stream, I always have notes, right? So I swear, like, I feel like I was having to write this live stream, like, to me, right? But feeling like you always have to do everything alone. Feeling like the only way something feels like a success is if you got there with no help. Now, I know I'm talking to somebody. Feeling like the only way something is successful is if you did it without help. Now, let's sit on that one for a minute. I want you to go into 2024 understanding the power of community, understanding the power of support, understanding the power of help, understanding that you don't have to do things alone, understanding that when you know your weak areas, that is a strength. It is a strength to know your weak areas. It is a strength to know what you can and you cannot do. Why? Right? Because I feel like we can sometimes get in a society, like we're in a society to where, we feel like if we can't do everything or if we can't hold everything up, then that means that there is something wrong with us, right? Now, there are certain weak areas that you do need to address, but I feel like those weak areas should be addressed if they're stopping you from being able to reach your goal. But I do believe that we all have weak areas, because I think it's just the way that God has shown us that we cannot do things by ourselves all the time, right? That there is a strength in being able to lean on somebody else. If you look in the Bible, I don't know how many of y'all read y'all Bible, but the Bible says 2 is better than 1, right? Because it says when the other one falls, right? It says when one fall, the other one there is there to actually like give aid. And so I want you to go into 2024 understanding that you don't have to do everything alone. Meaning that you could still get success, still get wins, still feel good about those results and know that you got help all along the way. And it doesn't make you any less than. It does not take away from the expertise that you have. It doesn't do any of that, right? But if anything, it's going to allow you to understand, right, and see the value in the people around you. They're so for some people, it's hard to see the value in the folks around them, and them folks can be the folks on your team, them folks can be your husband, the folks can be whoever, right? It's hard for you to see their value because you feel like you don't need them, right? You feel like I'm good. But the way that you're able to see the value of people is when you give yourself an opportunity to like lean on them, and learning how to lean on people or to get help before you reach your breaking point, right? Before you reach the level of I'm done, I'm burnt out, I'm exhausted, I am frustrated, I'm stressed, but allowing yourself to let you asking for help be the first thing, not the last thing. Right? Because sometimes we can see help as, okay, help is something that we ask for, right? After we have exhausted everything else. But you don't understand that when you stop yourself from asking for help, you waste time, right? You find yourself having to make mistakes that you probably didn't even have to make, right? But when you get clear on and understand that I need people, that it is it's a way that God has made us all, that we need people. If y'all not trying to have no Bible study this morning, if you look in the Bible, God even made Eve, because you look at Adam, he didn't even want Adam to be alone. Right? So it's just so many things. And I'm sorry, y'all, I love the word. So a lot of my examples come from that, okay? But even if, like, God even made Eve for Adam because he didn't even want Adam to even be alone. So if the Lord didn't make the first man that was made to be alone, what makes you think that he wants you that way? Right? I had somebody say, what if they don't help? Okay, well, I think that's like a time to really zoom in. For one, I think it's important to get clear, and I'm so glad you said that. I think it's important for you to get clear on what is it that you really need help with, right? Because for some people, it could be hard to help you because they are not clear on what they need to help you with. And sometimes that can happen because you are not clear on what you need. And that happens with a lot of us, right? Especially when you're in a really tough time, all you can tend to think about is how you feel, right? Is the all of the emotions that may come with that tough time. But you're not thinking about, okay, what is the root of all of this? And sometimes people really do want to help you, but they don't know how. So I think it's important that when you are in a season where you find yourself starting to need support of some sort, get clear on what is that support that you need, right? Because help and support doesn't always come the same way. It doesn't always look the same either. Sometimes when you are in a tough season, sometimes you just need somebody there. Meaning, I don't really need you to do anything, right? Because there are some things that you will have to bear. But the key is knowing that you don't have to bear those things alone, right? That you can have people on the side of you that can bear those with you. I got another Bible example. And I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I always talk about the Lord. Sorry, pastor's wife. This is my life. This is my life. When I think about Moses at the Red Sea, right? He literally had to hold up his hands, and as his arms was held up, right? As long as his arms was held up, that Red Sea, it stayed clear. But as soon as his hands started to drop, that Red Sea started to close right on up. And so he understood that the only way that these folks was able to pass through on dry land was if he would hold up his arms, right? But he had two people on the side of him holding his arms up, right? Helping him, being able to give him that support right? So with Moses, he still had a job that he had to do. He still had to hold up his arms, but he had somebody on both sides holding up his arms for him. And that's what I mean when I say sometimes you do have to bear things, but the support that you may need at that time is having somebody to bear them with you, right? And so I think it's being clear on in that season, is it that I need help with the load itself, meaning that I need somebody to come and help me take some things off of my plate, or is it that I may just need a safe space to hold this load with? And so I think it's important, again, to get clear on what kind of help that you need, right? And then allow them to serve you in that way. And it can be difficult. Let me tell y'all something. You know, you get in the habit, you think that you can do it all. And I think that's what can confuse people, is because you really can do it all. You can, meaning that you do get everything checked off of that list. But what is the quality of it, right? How do you feel operating as you are getting things checked off the list? Is something that you're doing bitterly, right? Is it something that you're having to like drag yourself up? And it's funny how this works, right? Because we feel like we have to really do it all because we really desire to help people, right? Or it could be a way that you almost want to serve your own self, but that's another live stream. But it's like you end up doing the opposite, right? You will train people not to help you. And so when you want to get help, they don't step up because you have trained them not to help you. You have trained them that you can do it all. And when people see that you can do it all, they won't be as eager to ask you if you need help, right? And so I think it's important to don't just train you that you need help, train the people around you that, hey, I may call on you. And if I call on you, I need you to be there if you can. And then also not thinking that your help is always going to come from the same source, right? Being able to understand, and it goes back to what I was first saying, being able to understand your strengths and your weak areas, but also being able to understand the strengths and the weak areas of the people around you. So now you know what kind of help you can give me, because sometimes the expectation that we have of other people is too high. It's not that they don't want to help us, they just can't. It's like they don't have it in them to help us that way, because the area that you need help in, that's a weak area for them, right? But when you start to think about getting a village around you or support, and start thinking about and knowing the people that you surround yourself with, right? This is the person that I can call on for this. This is the one that I can call on for that. And now everybody is operating in their strengths in their own space. And now it becomes a beautiful thing, right? So I want you to start thinking about that in that way, that don't go into next year trying to be super woman or man. This is what I talk about all the time. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. And sometimes that the feel of I got to do it all can come from that. Feeling like if I can't do it all, right? That means I'm not good for nothing. And that's not it. Is you knowing what are your areas of strength. You knowing that when you ask for help, again, this is strategic, like me. I've been owning my business now for full time for like 4 years now, right? I have a child, she's 5. We're having to homeschool her. I have a husband, he's really involved in the church, pastor, me, business, having to be involved with the church. It becomes a lot sometimes, right? But I kept feeling like I got to do everything. I got to always have a meal cooked. I got to always have the house spotless, right? But I was putting a weight on myself that ain't nobody told me to, right? Right? I thank God for my husband. It has never been a law in our house that I always have to cook, and I'm thankful that he hops in sometimes. But at first, what I was taught was like, if you are a good wife, this is what a good wife does. She She always has a meal cooked. She always has the house spotless. She takes care of everything, right? But when I had to shift that belief and say, no, right? When you are a good wife, again, you know your weak areas and you know your strengths. And what I had to understand and learn that I didn't have to be the one to make sure that, how can I put it? It was like, I didn't have to be the one to actually have it done. I just had to be sure that it was done. Meaning, right? You know, I don't cook every night. No. And when I do cook, child, that meal's gonna last us about 2-3 days. I cook big pots and stuff because I don't like being in the like over the stove every day. That just ain't me. Right now, you may get about two meals a week out of me. If you get 3 meals, baby, it is a wonderful week. Okay, but I also learn. Hey, I may not. It's like I'm not always at the stove myself, but you will have something hot on that stove. It may not be I. It may not be I that fixed it, okay? But you're gonna have some food, right? And so it's like I train my mind to believe that I don't have to be involved in every step of the process. I like sometimes you have to know that your focus is just in the result of it. And this is something that you can also use at work too. And this is what stops people from being able to lead the way that they should be leading because they feel like they have to be involved in all of the details of the process. But the higher that you move up, the more focused you need to be on the result of it, right? So I may not be having to cook every day, right? I just know, but the result of it is you will eat, right? Now, how you eat, whatever that needs to look like that day, I may have to call something in. I may have to, but you're going to eat. And so shifting my mind towards that, you know, and it's like now when I took off that weight, now I can really be more involved with my family, right? I am able to spend time with them and not always be exhausted and tired and frustrated. Because I promise you, my husband would rather have a sweet wife than a home cooked meal every night. He would. So he's like, look, whatever you got to do, right? To make sure that you come at me with love, hey, place the food order. I will go pick it up. Let's DoorDash something. Why? Because it's about the result of it. It's not about those steps, right? And so I want you guys to think about even the help that you have. Know their weaknesses, know their strengths, understand what is the help that you need in this season, and do not think that that help is going to come from one place. I like to know that when I show up that I give you guys value, okay? So I believe the first thing that I don't know the first one, but the first one that we talked about was please make sure that you know that rest is not a reward, right? Rest is a need. And rest is very strategic as well because it allows you to show up and do what it is that you know that you can do. The next one is I talked about being able to move away from that scarcity mindset, meaning like move away from being in a life of just panic because you think that what you want or the opportunities that you want won't always be there. And so you live your life in this race. But I want you to slow all the way down, right? And I didn't say stop. I just said slow down, right? And understand that you've done this. You have done this over and over and over again and own what you've already done. And then I talked about for next year, I want you guys to seek alignment over achievements, right? I don't want you to just achieve. I want you to be in alignment because when you are operating in alignment, that will allow you to achieve things and unlock things that you never even thought was possible. And then I talked about, I want you guys to stop thinking that you have to do everything by yourself. right? Don't think that the only way that something is seen as successful is if you did it alone, right? But understand that there is power in you being able to have a good support underneath you. And this is the reason why I made my group the best you, right? So you can know that this thing called career, this thing called having to operate in corporate America, you don't have to do that by yourself. Understand that there are people, right, that have been where you want to be, right? And there are and that I wanted it to be a safe space to where you can come and build your career and build your skills away from panic. You know what I mean? Because you know, the number reason why I made this group is because people do not talk about career management. The only haste that people get in their careers when it's time for them to find a new job. But your career is so much more than you getting a new job. And you have many people that will put in all the effort to get the job, but once they get the job, they don't know what to do with the job. They don't know how to set the right expectations or even have a solid growth plan. And so now what happens is that you start to have a career based upon you just moving from job to job. But your career is so much more than that, right? And the base of that career should be about the life that you want, and your career is built to move you towards the life that you want. But that comes from you being able to manage your career, and that does not happen by chance. Because if you don't manage your career, somebody else will. If you don't do it, who you work for will. They will set those goals for you. They will inform you of how fast you will or you will not grow, right? But when you're thinking about career management, I want you guys to think about, right? What should I be like leaning in on in this season, right? And being able to step back outside of companies' rules and needs and get clear on your own. Because if you're one that you get really engrossed in your work, meaning like you get super involved, super head down, it is so easy to get their goals mixed up with your goals. It's super easy to get their goals mixed up with yours, to where when people ask you what are your goals, you will automatically start to like shoot off theirs. And your company goals should not be your goals. Not saying that you cannot, you know, have a level of expectation of results that you want to bring forth. I think that's a good thing, right? But when we're talking about your career goals, ain't got nothing to do with them. Nothing at all. Nothing. Why? Because when you start to link you and your goals and your life and who you are and your value into this job, into who you work for, do you know what happens when you have to leave or you lose your job out the blue? Do you know what happens? You start feeling lost, right? You start feeling like I don't have anything outside of this job. If you lose your job, you feel like you also lost the value that you have. That's why it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Mm-mm. Put that career, let me say this, put that job in its right place. And the place of the job it is just a vehicle. It is just a means. That's all it is for you to use your expertise and get paid for it. And the quicker that you can see it as just that, it's going to allow you to not take things at your job so personal, right? It's going to allow you to plan because you understand that these people make any kind of moves that they want to make and they do not consult you. They don't think about you. And I know it sounds harsh. I know it do. I know. It don't mean that they don't like you though. They could very well like you. But when it comes down to thinking about what are the moves that they have to make sure that they are going to move in the right way and they will move towards success, they don't think about you. So what does that look like for you? when you got to think about what you got to do to make sure that you are going in the right way and in the right path, and that you are being able to move more towards the life that you want, you don't think about them. And that's not selfish, that's strategic, right? Because who you work for, it is just a partnership. That's it. It is just a partnership. It's business, right? And you may very well have had the opportunity to get close with the people that you work with. I think things are a great thing. Hey, great, right? I think when you spend so much time at work, you should be able to create relationships. But it's another thing when you let a relationship stop you from being able to make the steps and the moves that you need to. And it's not always just you having to seek for a new job, though that may be it sometimes. Sometimes when you need to just speak up at work more, right? You'll almost be afraid of the relationships that you have there, that you won't speak up, right? You won't even go higher in your expertise because you feel like if I go higher in my expertise, then that may make them feel a certain way. And again, you are shifting them more upward than you are yourself. And that is a mistake. You'll be surprised how much more people will respect you when you respect yourself. I don't know where. Well, I do know where. But we get this mindset of like, the more I sacrifice myself, the more people will value me. And child, it has the opposite effect. It has the opposite effect because you cannot give somebody more of something that they don't appreciate in the first place. Like it's literally like the wife whose husband is out there in the streets, and she feels like, if I just love him more, if I just cook more, if I just do whatever he wants more, that means that he'll stop. No, because he didn't respect you in the first place. So if the first love or the first thing that you didn't keep him, what makes you think that if you give him more of that, it's gonna make him stay? Child, yeah. What, I feel like I'm throwing all these examples. I'm sharing examples about the Bible, about a cheating husband, but I gotta give you these examples so it can be super clear to you, so it can be clear, right? So if when you are in a work environment, right, and they don't value the work that you already do, what makes you think if you do more work? No, no, it doesn't work like that, and that's why it's important, right? That you start to think about these things and start thinking, are you in a place to where you work harder or smarter? Meaning, look back at all the work that you've already done and think about what has come out of that, right? I do think that you can do more, which is a whole nother live stream, but I'm gonna say I do think that you could do more if you are already seeing results, or you are already able to reap more off of what you've done, because this shows you this works, right? But when you haven't seen anything off of what you've already put in, and then you throw in more, child, that is a one-way street to burnout and self-doubt. Because you're thinking, wait a minute, that this should work. So if it doesn't work, then that means that there's something wrong with me. Baby, ain't nothing wrong with you, friend. The problem is that it was never valued in the first place. So now it's about you being able to move into environments that's going to value that, right? So is not what you do that needs to change. It's who you do it for that needs to change, right? Now, I know I'm talking to somebody this morning. Right? I know I'm talking to somebody this morning, okay? Right? Because it's so important to know that the effort and your hard work and your great expertise and your skills and your vision and the passion that you have, that is going towards the right source. And it's not going in a bottomless pit and you're like spinning your wheels hoping that one day it just will happen to just get right on its own. It doesn't work like that. This is why I talk so much about being intentional in your career, being strategic, because it's not about you climbing up and advancing and advancing. It's not even about that. It's about you being sure that you're, because time is too short. Time is too short. It is about you making sure that the work and the effort that you do counts, that is going towards something that means something. That's what it's about, right? And so I don't push this drive of just like I don't subscribe to this, grind. I don't, because I believe that once you get to a point that you know what you want, you know what you are wanting to move towards, right? You have already looked at the risk involved. I believe that now it's about strategy and you being focused on what you want and you being able to identify when the environment that you are in or the space that you serve in isn't in alignment with that. Not saying you won't face things, but a lot of what people face on their way towards their goals is unnecessary, right? It comes from a place of not thinking about you. It comes out of this place of, if I do more and more and more and more, then that automatically means that I am whatever no, it's about you being intentional. So you understand, even in my hard seasons, even in my hard moments, I know that the work that I am putting in is going towards something. And, being able to shift yourself from that mindset, child, it's going to, like, it leaves you confident. It leaves you sure because you know what you do counts for something. Right. And so, even with that view of things, I think if people would think a lot more about, not what they do, but who they do it for, girl, that probably would relieve about 50% of your stress. But the other half of that also is being able to adjust and being able to accept change, right? I talk about all the time with you being able to be the person that you need to be in order to get that success, right? So the two main components, I'm pretty sure it's some other little bitty ones, but the two main ones is growth and environment, meaning the growth that you should be investing in yourself in the environment. Where are you allowing yourself to invest your time and your skills, right? Growth and environment. Think once you get those two things locked in, right? Again, it don't mean everything will be perfect, but it gives you a very clear view, right? It allows a lot of the fog that you can feel in your mind, because sometimes you be like, I don't know what's going on. I just don't, you feel like it's a lot there and you're not really, it's hard to really see through it all. But if you can get those two things locked in, my friend, it'll make your path a lot more clearer and you won't be operating out of this is what I supposed to do, right? You start saying like this is the right thing to do other than this is the real thing to do. Like this is the thing that I really, really, really want to do. Which it does lead me into my next point. Don't go into 2024 with a narrow definition of success. I want you to go into 2023 thinking about holistic success. Thinking about holistic success. I don't want you to think about success just on the terms of your career, but I want you to go into next year thinking about holistic success, right? What needs to be in place so that I can experience success on all levels, right? I'm not saying that success is going to happen overnight. That's a lie that I just don't sell. But I do believe that you can go ahead and start to put things into place and you can start to look at it and make sure that work life and in your career, that they're not fighting against one another, but they are able to operate in harmony. Because again, you being able to experience success just in one area, it's not going to feel like it. Like it won't feel like success, because you have this whole other side that's void, right? And this is why I don't like the term. I've talked about this before. I don't like the term when folks say that you got to wear all of these hats, because it puts you in almost thinking like you can take stuff off, and that's just not the case. Like, it's a lot of hats, but it's one head, meaning that like, you know, if you're a mom at work, you don't stop not being a mom. You are a mom, right? So when people say, "Oh, I have to wear all these hats," it's like, don't trick yourself into thinking that you can take these things off. Right. This is one of the things that I help my clients do, is I help them to be able to like look at their life and their career and put things in the proper place to make sure that all areas can be served. Because I don't know what your belief system is, but I believe that you can have it all. But I do believe that if you desire it all, meaning that you do desire to be successful in your career, but also be at home whole and there with them, I believe that you can have that. But it does take you being able to put things in their proper place. And that's why I don't agree with the concept of you have to wear hats. No, it's all of you at work. It's all of you at home, right? There is no parts of you that you leave at work. They may tell you to leave that stuff at home, but it's not left. It's still in here. When things are happening at home, it still makes it difficult to focus at work, because it's you. It's one head, right? And so once you start to understand and realize that in reality, it's just one head. It's just one hat. Then now you won't feel a level of guilt, right? When you do have to like tend towards a part more in a certain season, because you realize like all of this is me. Like you realize that I don't take anything off. I may have to shift the focus for a moment, but that hat is still very well on my head, and it kind of gets you out of this balance belief. People say work life balance. I don't believe in a work life balance. You ain't no scale. Because with the idea of a balance, it trains you to believe that just because I have to shift my focus over here more, then this side gets less. And I don't think that's true. I don't. Now, it can look like that again if you don't know how to ask for help, if you don't know how to put things in their place. But it's almost like this. It's like, we know that in life and in your career, it could be seasons. So it's just hectic. You can find yourself at work having to like dive into work a lot more than what you did in the past. But I believe that if you've been at home and you've been having to pour in to who's at your house, if it's your family, if it's your kids, your husband, if it's you, if you have been able to pour in those things that it needs, if you have to shift the focus over for a minute to deal with career for a second, a season, home life ain't gonna feel so dry. It won't feel like it lacks so much, because you've already been being able to pour in those seeds. So now when you have to maybe shift your focus just a little bit more on work, I say shift the focus, meaning that eye is still on there, right? But all the focus is not there, right? It allows you to shift the focus, and that part of your life doesn't go starving, right? Because you've already been putting seeds. And so in that season, you don't have to give as much, right? Because there's already fruit there. So like that's what it looks like to have that life to operate in harmony. It ain't no scale, right? I know that I can run a full-time business and be there for my family. Is it always easy? No, absolutely not. Mm-mm. No. But I do know this. I know that the more that I serve myself, the more that I can serve them. Meaning, the more that I make time for me, the more that I make time for prayer, the more that I fill myself up, I can make time for them. And people are like, I don't have time for that. Well, you may not feel like you have time for that because you may allow your gas tank to fall to E. Like this, and here we go. Y'all know I always got the examples. Okay, I got to use the examples. If you are at the gas station and you didn't drove to the gas station on E, meaning that gas light been on for the last 2 days. It was only by God's grace that you went straight on the side of the road. But that gas station, like I'm saying that because I do that. I hate putting gas in my car. Like you would literally be having to pray. I'm like, Lord, let me make it to this gas station, please, Lord. And of course, it's going to take me extra time to fill up my car because I drained it down to nothing. Like the gas tank had dust coming out of it. So, of course, it'll take me more time. But if I see my gas tank a little beneath half a tank and I go, it's not going to take me as long because I'm always being able to fill up my tank. Think about that with yourself. If you keep on waiting until you bust it down and of course, it's going to seem like it takes more to get you back in that good place because you keep waiting until you are completely drained to fill yourself up again. But once you get into like maintenance mode, you won't feel like you need such extreme self-care because that's something else that folks get wrong. Like you can't heal burnout with self-care because self-care is for maintenance. Right? Meaning like, I just want to make sure that everything is where it should be, right? That gas tank could be a little below a half a tank. Like, I really don't like me having my gas tank this low, but okay, right? And think about it. You will pay more at the gas tank. You're always waiting until that gas tank is at E, baby, you will pay more. Now, that was a word. You will pay more. It will cost you more when you let yourself get to the point where you are exhausted and burnt out. Whereas if you allow yourself the time, but again, I know it's a mind thing when you say, well, I don't have the time to, but you don't know that it's going to cost you more time down the road. It will. And then when you keep on driving that gas tank down to E, baby, it is messing stuff up. Now, I don't know the part it messes up is, I don't know cars like that, but it hurts your car when you keep on having your gas tank on E like that. So it's stuff that's being hurt that you don't even see. And so this is why it's important to move away from, right? I don't have time for. I don't want y'all going into 2023. No, I keep saying that. I don't want you going into 2024 thinking that. Remember, rest is not a treat. It is a strategic asset. And I want you to start seeing rest as a strategic asset because that's what it is. Okay, so, I want you guys to move into not thinking that success looks like one way because it don't. Right. And I want you to understand that you should be viewing your success on a holistic level. Meaning, okay, I know that I've gotten wins here, here, and here, but what about this part? Right? And don't be afraid to invest in your development. Don't be afraid to invest in your development. When I talk about invest, it could be the money, it could be time, whatever that is for you. Don't be afraid of that. Right? Because we will literally invest in so many other things that do not bring a return whatsoever. But when it comes to those things that will allow us to soar, there's always a no. Like shift your mindset and don't that there are some things that are a cost. There are some things that are a investment. Start to know that they are not the same. A bill and a cost is one thing. A investment is something else because once I invest into this, I'm going to get something back. right? And so even with that, like don't spend more time, okay? Do not spend more time trying to reach these goals at work, and you don't spend the time that you need on your goals, whatever those are, right? Start thinking about what it is that you need to have in place that you, because I do believe, hey, you at work hard, do great work, right? But I also believe don't ever work harder for somebody else than you work for yourself, okay? But if you guys enjoyed this live stream, please go ahead and drop the word serve below in the chat box. Remember, if you do want to work with me, right? If you're in a place in your career where you're ready to advance your career, but you want to be sure that you advance your career in the right way, let's talk. Let's chat, right? Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had a new service that I released this week. So if you want to be coached by me, meaning if you're like, Alicia, I love hearing you on these live streams, I now have a way to where you are able to be coached by me about 3 to 4 days out of the week, meaning I want to be able to share with you more strategies, because on my live streams, it's more of the what and the why. I want to go a little deeper with you on the how, right? I really want to get more into the how these things are done and what this actually looks like, and actual like hardcore strategies. But I wanted to create something in a way that is flexible, because I know that you may have a work schedule and you have kids, and so everybody may not have the time to like sit with a whole course and all that. So I have a way to where you are able to be coached by me straight from your phone. Okay. And this is able to happen with less than $1 a day. So it ain't no reason to be going into 2024 feeling confused or lost, or feeling like I don't know what's next, or having all of these questions about your career in your head, because through this you also get to ask me questions as well. Okay, so if you want more information, this offer is called the Evolved You. You can sign up now for it. TikTok and all of y'all can go to my link in bio. If not, I think YouTube, you may have to go to my website at IamAliciaPerkins.com, and you can sign up for that now. But if you do want to work with me one-to-one, if you do want something a little bit more tailored, let's talk. Again, if you did not catch this live stream, know that you can go on my channel on YouTube and subscribe. I leave all of my live streams there. And I got some stuff coming in the works for y'all on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed, go in there and subscribe. You can find me on there at I Am Alicia Perkins. And so if I don't have any more questions, let me make sure. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend. Bye.